Chapter 17, verse 20. Genesis.
For those not present.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
get it on quick enough.
Okay. So last week, Abraham asked God, or he was a little frustrated. He was a little, I'm going to use the word impatient, because he had not had his son yet, and he asked God if just Ishmael could be my son, if I could just have him as my son, since I haven't gotten one yet. And God promised him, no, you are going to have a son. And this week, in verse 20, God continues this conversation with Abraham. And it says, and as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. So God hasn't forgotten Ishmael. God is still planning on making a great nation of him, making 12 princes from him, but he's not the person that God wanted to be Abraham's heir, to be the line to Jesus. But there's something interesting in it was in my study Bible. The 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. Turn over to 1 Chronicles for a second. 1 Chronicles chapter 1. And this has will list the 12 princes of Ishmael, right at the beginning of Chronicles, close to the beginning. Amen when you get there. Excuse me, 1 Chronicles chapter 1. I'm sorry. And in verse 29, it lists the descendants. These are their generations, the firstborn of Ishmael. Then Kedar and Adbeel and Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael. And that son, if you go back to the son Kedar, tradition has it that in the Islamic faith, that is the son, the line from that son is where Muhammad comes from. Which I think is interesting, that from the line of Ishmael is the line where the Islamic faith, the Muhammad prophet, that their prophet comes from. From Kedar, I think Kedar. So I think it's interesting that everything that happens in this world is planned by God. I mean, that wasn't by accident that happened. I could not find any document that gave me the line from Kedar to Muhammad, but that's what it had said, was that the genealogy tracks their prophet Muhammad back to Ishmael's son Kedar. And Islam is a very violent religion. Verse 21, but my covenant will I establish with Isaac. He is going to make a great nation. He's going to make him have 12 princes for Ishmael, but his covenant he's going to establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. Do you think Abraham was excited right then? Wait a second. And within the next year, that's when I'm going to have my
At
son?
that time, they had been waiting over 20 years, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think it was 23.
20, I thought it
I
was
think that's what it was. But all this time, he's been waiting for his son from Sarah. Sarah's womb is barren. He's getting old. Sarah's getting old. He's almost lost hope in what God has promised him. And God says, within this next year, you're going to have a son. Oh, man. How excited was he?
Well, he laughed.
What's that?
He laughed about it.
Well, not in that verse. He didn't last. Back in, what was it? Verse 17. He laughed. But how great is it that God follows through on his promises? So what does that tell us?
You believe it.
Yeah,
You trust it.
the promise of everlasting life is real. It's not just a story in a book. It's a promise that will fulfill. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. God satisfied Abraham's struggles that he was having with his patience, with his frustration, with not having a son. God has given him the answer that he was looking for. And then it's time for Abraham to follow through on the command that God gave him as far as circumcision. For all the guys in here, Abraham was circumcised at 99 years old. And Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the selfsame day as God had said unto him. So all of this has happened over the last couple of chapters. It has all been in a very short period of time. This has not been drug out over the conversation with God and this. Abraham left God. He went and did what God told him to do in the same day. He followed through on God's commandment. How many times have Lord, is that really what you want me to do? Nah, let me think about it for a couple of days before I do it. The self-same day as God had said unto him, and Abram was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son. And all the men of his house, born in the house, and bought with money of the stranger, were circumcised with him. And that was God's command. Everybody in your household, whether they're family, whether you were bought them, whether you captured them, no matter how they're in your household, everybody will be circumcised. And that was the covenant. The outward showing of the covenant with God was the circumcision. And Abraham's faith to do that to everybody in his household, including himself, is amazing to me. Next week, we're going to look at the visitors that Abraham has. And Sarah's going to be promised a son. And then after she has her son and Abraham takes him to the mountain, things really move along in the book of Genesis. It really starts to pick up speed with the history in Genesis. Any thoughts on these few verses that we covered tonight with Abraham? Comments? Complaints?
There's a genealogy also in Genesis 25
verse 12 through 16 of Ishmael.
Verse 20.
Genesis 25.
Yep. Yep, I see that.
Verse 12 through 16.
Yeah, I was just looking at the legend in my Bible is where I got the First Chronicles.
Now this one has this record.
Let's see,
Yeah,
1720.
but it still only just tells the 12,
Yeah.
the 12 boys.
Well, I guess it does have that one too. So, but it's interesting the conflict that Abraham's and Isaac's descendants have throughout history with Ishmael's descendants. And that conflict is still going on today. And it'll continue to go on till the Lord comes back. Miss Carol?
In the Song of Solomon, that's the bride, that's us
Mm-hmm.
crying out to the Lord. And the Hebrew people have said, the rabbis, that back in the 1600s or earlier than that the world wasn't worthy the day that the Song of Solomon was given, because it is the Holy of Holies. Because our heart is the place where God lives, and we cry out for Him to be close. And in verse 5, it says, I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. And the children of Ishmael, I didn't realize that Kedar was Ishmael's son that eventually